What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of CollectCo Connection, your one and only AR podcast. Today, we have the honor of featuring Maryam Nadeem, a leading expert in accounts receivable offshore solutions. Maryam is currently serving as a talent acquisition specialist with Remote Scouts, an international staffing solution that helps companies strengthen their competitive advantage by taking a global approach to hiring offshore remote staff, tapping into a world of remote talent. Maryam is also recognized in the industry and on LinkedIn as a top global talent acquisition voice. And in this episode, we'll be diving deep into AR staffing solutions and exploring how companies like Remote Scouts can streamline hiring offshore staff for you with incredible cost savings in hiring affordable and certified professionals. Maryam, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. It's truly an honor for me. Thank you very much.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. So Miriam, I always like to start off kind of with the same question is, can you just share a little bit of background and give the listeners a quick introduction to you and to Remote Scouts and, how your team is disrupting the offshore staffing solution industry?
All right. Chris, Remote Scouts is providing, recruiting and offshore staffing solutions to the clients in all over the world. And I'm working as a talent acquisition specialist, with a focus on global offshore staffing solutions to clients. Clients are coming to us and asking for different people on different designations with different skills, and we are providing those people, those talent from all over the world to the clients. And we stream headhunting by reducing company cost by 75%, ensuring access to top tier talent in the world.
75% cost savings.
Exactly.
That's
Yes.
bonkers. No, I love to hear it. I love to hear it. So you said you're filling multiple positions. Is that locked inside of accounts receivable, or is it kind of across the board in terms of what type of positions you're filling?
It's like every single position, every single talent we are providing to the clients.
Okay, so like sales, collector,
Medical billing,
mm,
salespeople, IT
okay.
people, every kind of position, yes.
Oh, that's excellent. So it sounds like you guys are a real solution for a ton of different creditors, even if you're not
Exactly.
operating in accounts receivable.
Exactly. Exactly.
Very cool to hear. So just kind of digging deeper a little bit into that, concerning some of the specific challenges of offshore staffing. Obviously, there's a bunch of unique challenges, cross-cultural hiring. Like, what are some of the common roadblocks that companies face when they're sourcing talent from an offshore location? Like, and what does Remote Scouts do to address those challenges?
Okay, so I do face a lot of challenges, but most of the common challenges which I faced in recruiting, some of the common challenges includes the time zone differences. Like this is the major differences. We have the different time zone, and clients are having different time zone in another part of the world. And the second challenge is the communication barriers. Clients and staffers we placed with them. It's the very difficult to adjust the communication between these two parties. Third and the most common challenge again is the culture alignment. We have a
Mm.
very different and unique culture in Pakistan, and clients are having very different culture. So it's very difficult to adjust these things. But communicating with them and making things transparent within two parties, we do cover these challenges, by communicating with them.
No, certainly, certainly. And so, I mean, just kind of exploring into how you're able to find qualified candidates, like what type of skills assessments, verifications, like how are you verifying a candidate's skills?
Okay, so Chris, we use different tools. For example, if we have to analyze the resume, so the very first tool we are using is the ATS tool, ATS Applicant Tracking System tool, which filtered resumes for our position. So whenever candidates are coming and applying to different positions, so our tool ATS Applicant Tracking System filtered that resume for us, and it's very easy for us to access the skills of different people. So ATS is the very first tool for filtered resumes. Second is we have technical assessment assessments of every single position. For example, if you're hiring for IT positions, so we do have that specific IT test for those people, and then candidates will be attempting those tests, and we can analyze what sort of technical skills they have. So ATS tool, technical assessment test, communication test. So these tools actually help us to analyze their skills, and we can verify what sort of skills they have for this position.
Oh, very interesting. Very. So it sounds like they go through a number of different
Exactly,
qualification and testing
exactly. They
sequences.
have to. They have to.
Do they,
Yeah.
do they get to meet with the client? I mean, does the client ultimately, is there an interview where they get to hire the person after speaking with them?
Yes, yes. It's like the major, criteria and the major requirement, and they do actually.
Very good. Very good. Man, well, it sounds like you kind of tee up the client with the perfect candidate, and then all they have to
Yes.
do is knock the interview out of the park. And oh, very cool. Um, so concerning client expectations and candidate matching, like what type of information are you getting from clients or creditors to help you be able to identify what the fixed criteria of what type of candidate you should be looking for? Like, what does that questionnaire look like?
All right. So, Chris, whenever we are going in the discovery calls and whenever we are trying to, have an understanding from the client what exactly they need, I think before I start the recruiting procedure, I really need to understand where my client is struggling, where exactly they need a person, and what exactly the position they need to fill in their organization. So, when I go through those procedures and when I have that proper understanding, so, we ensure alignment by thoroughly understanding client needs, conducting detailed role analysis so I can understand what sort of people they need. And then I recommend only those candidates which are aligning with both technical and cultural expectations so they can be a good fit for that organization.
Got it. Got it. And just from your experience, what are some of the challenges or like trends that you're seeing? You said that if they're struggling with a particular problem set internally, what kind of problems specifically do you see that they're struggling with? Is it like bandwidth? Is it skill set? Walk us through that.
Okay, so sometimes clients are having different expectations, and it's very difficult to find the candidate like a 10 by 10 candidates. If client is expecting a 5 years of experience in US based industry, so sometimes it's very difficult to find exact 5 years of experience from the US based industry. So what we do actually 9 by 10 get, like you cannot get a candidate like a 10 by 10 and all the requirements will be fulfilled by the candidates. So sometimes they need to compromise on something, and sometimes the
Mm.
candidate needs to compromise on some things with the client's criteria as well. So it's just a a commitment between both parties.
Okay, okay. And then in the rare event that there is a potential mismatch, what does the client just let you know, or what does that kind of sequence of engagement after the candidate has already been hired look like?
So whenever the candidate is hired from the client, so clients is just letting us know that we have hired this person on this position, and 95% of our candidates are actually meeting that criteria which clients are setting up for those positions. So it's a very successful rate for remote scouts that people are actually meeting that requirement and meeting that target area we have. So it's a
Okay.
very good rate for us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good. And are when a candidate is hired on, they're following the client's KPIs and all their
Each
expectations.
and everything, clients timings, client policies, whether it's for vacations, paid time offs, it's each and everything, candidate will be doing that commitment with client, whether it's following their time zone, their KPIs, their OKRs. Candidate needs to accept those all things. So yep, they're doing that.
Okay. And so then from the beginning, once they're hired, it is remote scouts helping with all of the training and whether it's compliance, whether it's just process systems, you guys will put the
Yes.
candidate through a training system and
We
then
do, exactly. We do have specific protocols which we need to follow. For example, giving them the orientation. We do have specific, agreements, NDA agreements, and do and don'ts form, which every candidate needs to sign before setting up with their client. What the things
mm,
they need to do, and what are the things they don't need to do with their client. So these are the very strict policies which we followed with every single candidate which we are placing with the client.
Okay, got it, got it. Yeah, it sounds like you guys are really covering from A to Z, making sure the client's
Yes,
expectations are met, making sure that the candidate is skillful, is qualified for
exactly.
that exact seat. That's so awesome to hear, man. And you're essentially just taking over the globe of offshore hiring, which is wild to me. Um,
Exactly.
Miriam, I know that we're getting short on time, but I did just want
Mm-hmm.
to ask you one last question for our listeners and really for myself as well.
Okay.
Can you share any like secret tips or tricks of the trade if for
Mm-hmm.
candidates who are submitting a resume? Like, what are some of the things that you see that are just absolute no-nos, or what could a candidate do to put themselves in the best light?
Okay, so Chris, the very first thing specifically for the candidates, whenever candidates, you are applying for the different positions, it's very important to tailor your resume to highlight your relevant skills. If you are a
Mm,
salesperson, you need to highlight your sales skills in that resume. If I am the talent acquisition specialist, I need to, highlight those relevant skills in the resumes. People are having irrelevant experiences and irrelevant skills. That is a very difficult thing for a recruiter to analyze their skills. Second thing, candidates really need to focus on their communication abilities. If you are able to communicate, absolutely there will be a very, very, very big number of growth opportunities for you. So you guys need to really work on your communication abilities and always embrace continuous learning to stay competitive in the global market. It's very important.
okay, got it, got it. So stick to relevant employment experience. Um,
Exactly.
in my lifetime, I've been a restaurant manager, I've been a college soccer coach, and now I'm a senior director of
Okay.
accounts receivable. And so I feel like
Very
my
nice.
resume would be all over the place. I don't know if I'd be a fit for you. Um, Let me ask though, just on tips of the trade for candidates. What are your thoughts on like cover letters? Do you think that it's something that all candidates should be writing? Is it something that
Mm,
isn't as looked at?
Personally, I don't like cover letters. I think it's the wastage of time of different people. It should be the simplest procedure to apply for a position. Whenever we are hiring, so candidates actually do this. They wrote actually a cover letter of 2-3 pages, which actually
Oh,
take us a
wow.
lot of time to analyze. So let's keep it to the point. Let's keep it to the very specific thing. Like just apply with your relevant skills on the resume. No need to have the cover letter for 2-3 pages, which actually is a wastage of time, nothing else. I don't like cover letters
Okay.
by myself as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you guys heard that. You heard it here first from Miss Maryam Nadeem. Thank you so much for coming on. For all of our listeners, I'm going to go ahead and put Maryam's contact information in the comments section below. You'll also be able to find the full interview and some additional supportive collateral on how you can get in touch with Remote Scouts. Maryam, so awesome having you on the show today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. It was really nice talking to you. Thank you very much.
Likewise. All right, we'll talk to you real soon, okay?
Bye bye.
All right, bye.